Up. Before you say anything, yes, I know that Astro Bot Rescue Mission exists, so there's no need to be typing away in the comments going, actually, Astro Bot did have a game before this one. I know. I've just got to tend to the algorithm with the title because I feel it works a little better than PlayStation's new mascot gets its technically fourth title, with 2 being VR based and the third being a tech demo that came with the PS5 at launch. Although now that I think of it, that could roll off the tongue. Hi. Before we get into any discussion about this game, I do want to preface that I will be going over a lot in this video, spoilers included. However, I will be putting timestamps in the description as well as placing warnings before discussing big content spoilers. I will also be saving the biggest game spoilers towards the end of the video, so don't worry, you can keep watching if you're just wanting to know my thoughts without ruining the experience for yourself. For those of you who don't know, Astro Bot is a 3-dimensional platformer, being the technical follow-up to Astro's Playroom, which was a tech demo that came pre-installed with every PS5. Playroom has ultimately still been one of the best experiences to show off the capabilities of the PS5, if that tells you anything, and Astro Bot does not disappoint in this department. It takes what Playroom did and turns it up tenfold. Finally letting Astro Bot get his first official standard platform release is a godsend. Astro Bot has been lingering around Sony and the PlayStation IP for a long while now, originally starting with the virtual reality party game Playroom VR, and then after a couple more years he got his debut in a game entirely based around Astro Bot himself called Astro Bot Rescue Mission. However, this could only be played on the PSVR 1, and not many people got to experience it themselves. Hell, I own a PSVR and the game itself, and I still have yet to play it. Curse you, gaming backlog! All of this to say, not many people have gotten to experience what Astro Bot actually is. That was until the PS5 released and came out with Astro's Playroom, as mentioned a little bit ago. Now, this video is not going to be a deep dive into the history of Astro Bot and what his legacy means. I know you came here specifically for the game itself, so I won't hold any more of your time talking about this history. I just wanted to lay a bit of the foundation for any of those who may not have heard or seen Astro Bot before and don't know the reason why this release has been so anticipated. As I said, Astro Bot is a 3-dimensional platforming game, so if you enjoy any 3D platformer like Mario or Crash Bandicoot or any other game in this genre really, it'll be right up your alley. Astro is a very simple control scheme. X is to jump, holding X while in the air will allow you to hover using the beam glide, square is to punch, and if you hold square, you do this little spin. Left and right analog sticks to move Astro and the camera around respectively, and that's pretty much it. You've got a platformer. Now, while the controls seem incredibly simple and somewhat uncreative, there are 2 things that balance out the base playstyle. The first point being the spin recovery. You see, when you jump into the air, if you press square, Astro will do this little twirl. It's not only meant to be an aerial defense against enemies, but also a necessary platforming technique. When you spin in the air, you'll get this small hover that will keep you in the air without killing your directional momentum. The closest example to compare would be Mario's twirl in the more recent titles. It's a jump recovery as well as a jump extender. The move can also be combined with the beam glide, allowing you to stay in the air for even longer amount of time, helping with platforming management as well as skips if you're so inclined. This movement combo is so satisfying to pull off, and it's what makes the simple control scheme a blast to do every single time. It never feels dull to perform. And the second point is the various amounts of gadgets that are present throughout the levels. These gadgets are what spruce up the gameplay and creative map design throughout the differing courses. The first example I'll go over is the Dog Pack, a bulldog jetpack designed to launch you towards your destination, barreling through whatever's in your path. Another is the Frog Gauntlets, not only giving extended punching range during combat, but also allowing you to grapple onto these sticky red gelatin-like substances. Now, these tools may not be present in every single level, but when they are there, you know that they have the creative juices flowing. One of my absolute favorites is the mouse gadget, where with the push of a button, you'll shrink to this minuscule size, getting a totally different perspective on the platforms around you. It's also insane that you can do this free will at any point in the level. The technology behind this, making the transition consistently so smooth, is what amazes me. And speaking of the technology they use, I can't believe I've gone this long without gushing in full about this feature. The haptic feedback. The main difference that sets this game apart from the rest and truly defines this as a PS5 title is the haptic feedback. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on about how wonderfully Team Asobi have done at utilizing the DualSense's features to the fullest extent. Being able to feel the pitter-patter vibrations of the raindrops or the clunky clacking of the triggers as you launch into the sky, they have expanded upon this and then some in this game. It's a wonder why other PS5 titles, aside from Returnal, haven't tried this hard to utilize this, because the immersion is incomparable. It really is something that's a lot harder to describe to you unless you've had hands-on experience with the controller and the game yourself. But trust me, you won't get a game or team that does it better. Now that we've gone over a bit of the gameplay mechanics, now it's time to go over the basis of the story, which isn't much. The premise is while traveling with all your bot buddies, flying the UPSSR, Union of PlayStation Space Venturing Robots, the group gets stopped by this freakish green alien thing, and he's got the munchies! Immediately, he breaks into the ship and steals its processing system, causing the ship to explode, scattering all the ship parts and on top of it, all of your little buddies across the galaxies to then plummet towards the sandy and dusty planet. It is now up to Astro Bot and therefore us to stop the alien and collect back all the pieces of the ship. From this point forward, the story is pretty cookie cutter from there, and that's fine. It's a platformer meant to show off the history of PlayStation, not Mario, but The Last of Us. There are 5 main worlds that you're set to explore to find the missing ship parts, which, fun fact, all the parts are based on the locations that you played with in Astro's Playroom, making Playroom a soft prequel to this game. There's also a 6th world entirely dedicated to secret levels, which can be found throughout the secret exits within certain zones, very in line with the Crash Bandicoot series with the secret warp rooms. How many times can I say secret in this section? There's the Gorilla Nebula, Tentacle System, Serpent Starway, Camo Cosmos, and Feather Cluster, with the secret world being the Lost Galaxy. You technically also have the crash site as your main central hub, which does have a couple puzzle pieces and bots to unlock, but I wouldn't necessarily count that as a full planet to explore. What do I mean by bots and puzzle pieces? See, while your main objective is to collect all the missing ship pieces, in order for you to do that, you also need to rescue your bot friends as well as collecting puzzle pieces to progress the areas further. We'll get to the puzzle pieces in a second, but the main source of progression are the friends you make along the way. In each level, there are an X amount of bots you need to search for and rescue by kicking them in the good old keister. Doing so will send them back to the crash site where they'll stand happily until you call for them. The main reason you need to collect them is to progress to the new worlds. You need a certain amount of bots collected in order to traverse to the next area to find the next ship part. As you progress through the game and collect more puzzle pieces, the main hub expands, opening tiny stores to expand your cosmetics. You can change the color of the DualSense ship, unlock cosmetics for the Astro Bot himself and show off his style, and the lovely return of the oh-so-satisfying gacha machine. You can never beat that crunch. Now, before I get into what the gacha machine's purpose is, I cannot believe I have gone this long without bringing up the soundtrack in any way. I mean, come on, just listen to the Gacha Machine song. Oh my gosh. I have been listening to this throughout all of my editing to try to find songs to put in and out, and I cannot believe that in my original script for this, I didn't have a section for the soundtrack. How could I have missed it? The music is just so bouncy and varied, and oh my gosh, the Gacha Machine music, I could just sit here for hours. I know I'm taking a quick break in between the video just to show this off, but I cannot just stop thinking about the soundtrack, man. I have gone completely off script. This is editing, attaboy. This is me going completely off the rails, just talking about this soundtrack is so good. There's a level in the game where you flip in between daytime and nighttime, and the music will shift different tones but keep the same track. It is so good. I promise you will not regret giving the soundtrack a listen. Please do yourself a favor. There's so many good ones. I'm going to use this section just to play a few of my favorites, just so that you can understand how amazing this thing is. Oh.
douche. I ain't no sprout. I ain't no weed, so there is no doubt.
Sorry for the side tangent there. Let's get back to see what the gacha machine actually does. To unlock the cosmetics, you dispense the coins you've collected throughout your journey into the machine, paint jobs and costumes specifically. However, this is also to be used to unlock props certain bots can use to expand more of their reference points, fully bringing the character together. For instance, Rivet from Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart needs her hammer in order for these special animations to happen. And now that I've shown you what these props do, I think this is the perfect time for me to go over some of my favorites that are within the game. I'm going to put this minor spoiler section here, so if you want some of these cameos to remain hidden for you, to experience it for yourself, I suggest you skip to the timestamp shown on the screen here. Okay, they're gone? Cool. I can't believe they were able to get Banjo-Kazooie as one of... I'm just kidding. I just wanted to scare the brave souls that were staying for this section a little bit longer than they should have. Seeing Sly Cooper here brings me so much joy. He's one of my favorite gaming mascots of all time. His iconic pose of cracking open the safe, and then when you approach him, he'll quickly hide away inside of it. I've never been happier for an inclusion of a character, and I'm even happier they gave us a cosmetic for him to run around as. I think I have an addiction to the slippery raccoon. Celine from Returnal. For those of you who haven't played it, which you should if you haven't, her inclusion is such a treat, especially when you punch her. No, I'm not going to rewrite that. I especially love the detail they put in with her heterochromia. Such a small thing to change, but it shows how much these teams appreciate these IPs. Klonoa was a huge surprise to see. I personally have no experience with Klonoa myself, but I've seen plenty of reviews and people on YouTube talking about it, and I know how special he is for people within the gaming space, so I wanted to point him out because I did not expect to see him here. Connor, the android sent by Cyberlife. How fitting to include his iconic coin flip, as well as his immediate turn towards deviancy. I especially love the addition of the blinking light, it's such a fun detail. Psycho Mantis, I mean, come on. What needs to be said about this legend? I just couldn't go without mentioning him. Octodad, wow. Another crazy one I would have not expected to see. A huge gaming icon that pioneered on its release through the prime time of Let's Play YouTube back in 2014. It's great to see him here. Farpoint VR, the PSVR 1 seller back in the day, aim controller and all. Fun to see this representation of all these titles, even if not many people got the opportunity to play it. VR plus gigantic spiders is a no-go for me. Polygon Man. I had to end it with the OG PlayStation mascot, especially with Astro taking up the mantle. We appreciated you, dude. I hope you're doing well. I could go on and on and on about all of the references and IPs they've brought into this game, but we'd be here for hours. I just wanted to show off some of the coolest ones that stood out to me, but I just know that there are so many other cool ones I didn't go over. You may be seeing even more footage of them throughout this video, but I highly recommend you grab this game and search for them yourself. So many titles to go over, it's not even funny. And actually, I lied. There's no way I could go over all of these people and not bring up the main man himself. Bandicoot! A gigantic part of my childhood and the mascot to get me into gaming in the first place. If I never played Crash growing up, I genuinely don't think I'd be making this video right now. So that alone shows how special this orange marsupial is to me. I adore his inclusion within Playroom, and I'm so happy with his return here. I even found this by complete accident. And I was so in awe and nearly cried tears of joy seeing this. He's doing his victory dance! Ah! You even get an achievement for doing it! My childhood self is gonna explode! Every little detail provided in this game, especially for longtime fans of all the projects from PlayStation's past, I feel it's a perfect use of nostalgia and a phenomenal way to share appreciation for all the hard work and dedication all of these game developers has given throughout the years and years of gaming. Well, I guess the sentiment isn't exactly shared by everyone. The Days Gone director. Apparently Team Asobi made Dika cartoon chill, promoting a small game. Okay man, and Days Gone is Breaking Bad. Now this is the hefty gameplay spoiler section. If you've gone all the way through the previous section, this right here is the full meat and potatoes. If you want to keep this experience blind, I'd highly recommend you use the timestamps in the description in order to jump to the place you see fit. I will label each section as major spoiler or minor spoiler, as you might have seen in the previous portion. I'll give you time to skip to the timestamp, just in case. Isn't this nice? Just relaxing. You, me, together. You come here often? You should. Maybe subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. Leave a comment if you feel the passion between us like I do. You may have noticed I haven't really brought up a lot of the boss fights earlier in the video. Truthfully, I didn't know exactly how to bring them up without going into huge content spoiler territory. I won't go over every boss fight in detail, as I still want to keep some of them as a surprise for you, but I will say that the bosses in this game are incredibly fun and creative. One of my favorites had to be the bird boss fight, where you have to dodge multiple attacks while riding on its back. It's super colorful and utilizes a creative atmosphere. I'm also pretty sure that this is a reappearance, as this boss showed up in Astro Bot Rescue Mission. The big kahuna of this game that I wanted to go over for this section though, is that once you give the final blow against the final bosses of each world, you get to rescue one specific bot. Along with that bot, you're given an extra level that'll help you to obtain your missing ship part. You may see where this is going, but I'll let the video explain it for itself. That's right, 5 extra levels fully dedicated to each game representative of the bot you rescued. I'll be going over them in this section, so let's hop right into those thoughts. We first start off with the PS1 classic, Ape Escape. I sadly have absolutely no connection to the Ape Escape franchise. I don't have any knowledge of the references, nor do I know what the game is entirely about, other than catching runaway apes. My favorite feature has to be the haptic feedback within this level specifically. The pulsing of the radar pack is so satisfying. I almost wanted to just sit there and hold the button because of how cool it felt. A very fun level overall that I wish I had more to say about, but alas, I wouldn't be able to tell you why it's so great. I don't want to do this area and its references a disservice by butchering its fan service, so there won't be much coverage here. I'm sorry. ApeNet equals fun. Wow! I didn't mention it in the previous section as I wasn't familiar with what they were doing up to this point, but the remixes they do for these levels are amazing. Being able to mix the bombastic nature of these main themes with the little pieces of techno to help splice a bit of the Astro flair into these worlds, it's so creative and cute. I feel I'm saying cute and adorable a lot, but like, how can you not? We have little robot Kratos, Spartan raging when he dies and crushing rage stones for his idle animation. And when you punch him, he throws his axe at you, freezing you in an ice block, shaming you for even thinking about belittling the God of War himself. Okay. I lost myself there. I'm sorry. Back on track. This level gives you Kratos' axe from 2018 and Ragnarok as a weapon. It has the same properties as those original games, where if you throw it, you can call it back. Even utilizing the same puzzle mechanics that they use, like freezing the platforms by leaving the axe lodged in the target. I also like that they take Astro's spin maneuver and have him swing the axe around, much like Kratos' light runic attack of Norn's Tempest. So many fun features and incredible attention to detail, seeing Freya's Turtle House Charlie and Jormungandr, Odin's Ravens even make an appearance, giving you an achievement if you find them all, just to name a few. My favorite Easter egg being the shrine of Bot Atreus and Bot Kratos. You can see how much fun the developers had with this level. And having the final boss be Needhog? Astro Bot Edition? Just a big old robot pig, commencing the biggest destruction amongst all of the realms. It's always great when people and devs can poke fun at one another a bit. Bot Charted is real! Man, I know I mentioned it with the previous section, but the attention to detail and the love they've shown to this franchise is so palpable. It is truly so enjoyable. The fact the gun you use during the section is the same design as the toy gun revolver at the start of Uncharted 4 in the attic? gosh, man. I can't get enough of it. They have the plane hanging from the tree like in the first game, same as the submarine, the Jeep from the fourth, the sinking shipyard from 3, although this could be another reference to the fourth, endless dungeon crawling, even the enemy slimes have pirate bandanas, making it feel more authentic to the source material. Although, aside from Chloe and the resin torches before entering the dungeon, I didn't see many references to the second game, but again, I could have also been beaming in delight by everything else that I might not have noticed it. It has been a while since I last played these games on top of it, so some of the references could be going way over my head as well. There are even small puzzles you'll have to solve for hidden areas, one of them having a strange relic, which was a collectible Easter egg found in the Uncharted series that represented the orbs from Jak and Daxter. I swear, there's not a single reference that goes unnoticed by Team Asobi. Their researchers are crunching. I also love how the ending segment involves you having to escape a crumbling temple, very in line with the Uncharted franchise. Team Asobi, you did well. The next world is Loco Roco, a PSP title released back in 2006. You play as these gelatin blobs, and to control them, you tilt the world around the Loco Roco rather than controlling them yourself. For this level, you use the motion controls to lean the world left or right in the respective direction of the controller. Now, I have no personal connection with this game or franchise either, as I didn't have a PSP growing up. However, I played this section on the PlayStation Portal, and wow, I felt nostalgia for something I never even played growing up. Like a missing piece was finally filled in. This section is so bouncy and cuddly, and the music is bumping. Horizon Forbidden West. Such mad respect for this franchise. A team going from an FPS shooter like Killzone to the expansive and beautiful open world of Horizon. I will admit I've only played the first game halfway through. I'm sorry, I just got burnt out. I feel awful, don't hurt me. But they truly nailed the atmosphere and style of the Horizon franchise. From the holograms of the focus interface and seeing the tall neck in this mini form, it makes me even more excited to see the LEGO game that's coming out this year. I also love how some of the enemies that have the tube weak points that you have to shoot, and the final boss is against a huge robotic T-Rex named the Blunderjaw. It's an incredibly cinematic fight, and it's somewhat a multi-joke reference. See, the Thunderjaw in Horizon is based off of a T-Rex, and the final boss in Astro's Playroom was the T-Rex from the PS1 tech demo. The model Team Asobi gave it before it merged into the OG PS1 version is very similar to the one we see here. I think it's a clever use of existing assets to make a new boss, while also still being a parody of the game you're referencing. With Horizon and Astro being heavily focused on robotics, it's smart to use it in this way, in my opinion. To see Aloy as a robot herself is also pretty funny in and of itself. And now that we've gone through and saved all of our bot buddies and repaired our ship, it's time to go after the green glob that started it all. We launch into space and confront him where he stands, or floats. He flies off with the final part, and Astro does what he needs to. Pushes the button. We then see from inside the compartment the door opening up with all the PlayStation memorabilia that you collected back in Astro's Playroom, and every bot you've rescued hopping on for the ride, the final push. This gauntlet is so enjoyable. A shooting gallery where each PlayStation generation gives you an anime-styled boost, sending you even further towards the green monster. Mixing in shooting, dodging, and small boots-on-the-ground combat to bring it in full circle. You zoom towards the portal, meeting face-to-face to the thing that's been taunting you since the beginning of the game, Nebulax. This boss fight is easily the best of the game, having you swap between a random assortment of all the tools you've learned throughout the game. It's also really cool to see the bots you've saved help you out during this fight, showing that you're not alone in this final battle, and making your journey feel more impactful, like the things you did actually mattered, rescuing everyone feeling all the more worth it. I especially love that Nebulax switches things up on you in the final phase as a way to keep you on your toes during this fight. You bust open his ship, saving the final piece, and as you revel in your victory, dancing and all, there's a sense of calming that sweeps over everyone. Finally all back together after the events of the start of this game. However, Nebulax is not done yet. He comes back, bruised and bandaged, and he's here with a vengeance. Luckily, your ship knows you could use a turret segment and show him who's boss. You shoot down a couple of projectiles and destroy the thruster on his ship, causing him to explode violently. In his final act, before getting sucked into the void, he grabs Astro, but your bot buddies aren't going to take this lightly. They all gather in a pile and reach out to grab onto Astro before he gets sucked away as well. Astro looks onto his friends, everyone he's gathered and rescued throughout his entire adventure. Knowing that they all may be sucked into this void along with him, he makes the toughest sacrifice and lets everyone go, causing both Astro and Nebulax to fly into the void, exploding into nothingness. As we're left to ponder on this sad note, all the buddies gather around, all broken up and saddened by this tragic loss, mourning his death. All of this effort, all of this adventure, all to be taken away in the final moments. A tragic end to such a happy adventure. As the credits roll, you're just left with the sad hurt in your heart. An emptiness felt amongst the rest of the team. Is this the end of Astro Bot? He's finally got his first official PlayStation title, and it's his finale? Who would have thought... Wait. What's that? Astro! He returns from the sky, a little bit worse for wear. As you put him back together with the help of your friends, he's given new life. Everyone cheers in excitement, and the title card arrives. You're given one final moment of clarity with a gauntlet against the toughest enemy you've ever faced. The credits. Such a unique way to implement credits. I personally love when games do this. It engages the player while also putting in the time to make a creative way of appreciating everyone that was involved in making this game. I've never had more fun destroying name tags. They truly have a major icon on their hands, and I'm so happy I get to experience it alongside everyone else. This is a blessing, and I cannot wait to see what else they create. Astro Bot is the modern PlayStation mascot. And to bring it all together, you have one last stop. You get back together and you find out there's one teensy-weensy little level that's been lingering in the back of the hub. You see that you need a gigantic stack of all of your bot buddies, and you call them all together and climb up to the tower to reach the final level, the final gauntlet, the Great Master Challenge. Now, I don't really have a scripted section to go through it because I'm just going to have the gameplay show what's going on. This level kicked my ass. I was on this for who knows how long. I'm not going to mention it because it's embarrassing, but I was finally able to get towards the end. This is, in my opinion, the best level, as it should be. The secret level to reach the most important bot that you could have ever collected in this entire game. The Chop Chop Master Onion. Honestly, there's not really any better to put at the end of this game. I know especially how connected they were to Parappa the Rappa in this game specifically, so it's so nice to see his representation as the final gauntlet to grab him. It's so cute. It's adorable. Like, look at them. They're all together. It's so sweet. This goes without saying, but I do have a few critiques of my own, but I promise they're really small and they don't hinder my enjoyment of this game at all. I did have a couple glitches occur while in my playthrough, like a dynamite bot not appearing to explode a wall to enter the next segment, or enemy hit detection not registering on a spin. These don't exactly happen all the time, but they do occur a bit more for you to be able to notice them. This is an incredibly simple fix, and even if they don't plan on updating the game much, it's more rare than it is common, so it's not something you'll experience too much. One thing I'm incredibly surprised by, though, is the lack of an options menu. You only have audio and music sliders and 3 switches for assist or camera operations. Like, there's no camera sensitivity, no controller styles, not that you really need them, and not even vibration functionality or anything. I know the DualSense vibrations are a huge part of this game and charm, and I love them to death, but it's so surprising that there's an absolute lack of accessibility features or anything. Again, this is not anything that I needed or desire. Well, maybe a camera sensitivity slider would have been nice, but just surprised that this game entirely based on PlayStation history for PlayStation, where some of its biggest titles have gotten awards for being incredibly accessible, like The Last of Us Part 2 or God of War Ragnarok. Hell, even making a specific accessibility controller because of how seriously they take their wide and diverse audience doesn't have many features present. It's just kind of surprising, in my opinion. Now, this is more of a disappointed but hopeful critique. I have no idea if Team Asobi plans to add more to this game at a later date. My one desire over anything else is a time trial system, like that of Crash Bandicoot. I will say, I was rather surprised nothing like that was implemented into the game by the time I reached the end. In Astro's Playroom, there was an area that you could enter where you would have specific levels that were made specifically for time trials, for speed runs, and you could see all the times that people have set throughout the globe. Imagining a reward system, much like the Relic time trials in Crash to Warp or the Insane trilogy as a whole, would have been really fun and an engaging system to see. Would have made Astro incredibly more replayable on top of it. No need for them to even make new or separate levels. Just adding a timer to the existing levels with a little reward depending on how much time it takes. It just seems perfect for this game in particular, especially because of the Playroom implementation. I think it would be a great way to top this game off. And it looks like my prayers have been answered. Thanks Team Asobi for making me have to rewrite my script before recording. Coming later this month, there will be a free update to Astro Bot that will include 5 new speedrun focused levels, including even more bot friends to collect. And just like Playroom, these levels are connected online, so you can even see the official times of everyone around the globe attempting to speedrun our little bot boy to death. Thank you Team Asobi. I still think time trials would be cool for the main levels, but this works perfectly fine for me. No matter what my hopes or minor qualms may be with this game, it is truly one of the best experiences I've had all year. I mean, I am getting married at the end of the year, so I guess it's technically has to be the second best, or I might be sleeping on the couch for the rest of my life. But come on. Each unique gadget has its own idle animation on top of Astro's regular idle animations as well. There are hidden zones outside of the Lost Galaxy levels you can find that I couldn't even cover in this video. The music and sounds are so crunchy, the haptic feedback is the best it's ever been. Hell, even the save files before you boot up your first playthrough are labeled as a PS1 memory card. How could this not immediately win over your heart? Either way, whether you have a strong connection or not to the PlayStation brand as a whole, you will still have an amazingly solid platformer welcome to all ages. Team Asobi has a new lifelong fan, and I really hope to see more Astro Bot in the future, because I do believe Sony has found their Mario. If they don't make another Astro game, I'll still be right behind them, prepared to see what they have to bring to the rest of the world. See you all in the next one. Hey everyone, I'm not going to take too much time here, but I just wanted to apologize for how long this video took to come out. I know it's been a little bit over a month since the last video, so I apologize that it's been that long of a wait. But I did put a community poll saying, because I was in the middle of working on a video before, and I did put a poll asking if people wanted me to cover that, or if they wanted to see the video I was working on first. And most people went for the Astro Bot video, so I had to put everything back for the other video to make this one. So the next video hopefully will be worked on sooner rather than later. But yeah, and also, oh god, if you can't tell, I'm still recovering from a sickness. I just, it's been a while, man. I want to get this video out for you guys. I've been working so hard on trying to get it together, so I hope you guys appreciate it. And if you made it through to the end of this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace out.